Made it to chapter 6, and we're going to be working on recording the trial balance on a worksheet. So in my directions, I'm given different account titles and then account balances listed as a debit or credit. So all we need to do is label our worksheet and then go along and put in our account titles and our balances for section 6.1. So first things first, we are gold and tan. Up at the top, we're going to put gold and tan. Our second line is always what you're creating. We are creating a worksheet, and for the time period ending on February 28th of the current year. So for the month ended February 28th, and those are the three titles that belong across the top. Now, account titles, line 1, you're just going straight down the list here. We have cash. What I like to do is I like to go through and put my accounts all in first. I'm going to go right down, petty cash. These are all given to me in my book. Accounts receivable, we have Ruby Prints. Supplies. One big error you could run into as you're doing this is if you miss one. You'd have to go through and erase them all and put them all back in the correct order. Prepaid insurance is on line 5. Line 6 is accounts payable. And that one is R. Navarro. Line 7, I have Gary Baldwin Capital first, then Gary Baldwin Drawing next. Line 9, I have Income Summary. Line 10, Sales, followed by Advertising Expense, Insurance Expense, Miscellaneous Expense, Supplies expense, and my last category account title is going to be utilities expense. Alright, so you can choose to do it this way or you can choose to do it the other way. I just like to get the account titles down because in my directions it lists them all out right down the list for me. So this makes it easier for me so I can go through and explain to you how to do the rest of the transactions. Now, cash was a debit of $9,800, so I just go in here and put $9,800. Petty cash was a debit of $150. Accounts receivable was a debit of $27.95. So all you're doing is taking these numbers from our book directions and literally putting them on a worksheet. Nothing else is happening right now. Supplies, $456. Prepaid insurance, $750. Accounts payable, we have Richard Navarro. He is a credit, so I'm switching sides, $555. Gary Baldwin Capital is a credit, $14,885. Back over to Gary Baldwin Drawing for a debit of $3,400. Income summary, this is my divide line. I'll explain that to you more later on, but right now nothing belongs in that line. You don't use it at all, so we just skip over that one and go down to sales. However, it still must be included in this worksheet because we are going to utilize it in sections 2, 3, or 4 when we utilize it later. So keep that in mind. You must have that in there because it's listed in my directions. Alright, so sales is my next one, is a credit of $4,320. Advertising, back to the left side for debits is $931. There is no insurance at this time. Leave it blank. Don't put a 0 in. Miscellaneous, $378. No supplies, so leave that one blank too. And then utilities is $1,100. Alright, so now to make sure that everything balances, I need to add up my debit column total. So add these numbers up. You'll put that number right here. Add up these 3 numbers on the credit side and put that number right here. I know that the number is 19,760 and they match because I've done the math. I did it in my calculator. I double checked it, triple checked it, and they balance, so they are the same numbers. Alright, so for 6.1 we listed all the account titles and then determined by looking at the directions where they belonged as debit or credit. Nothing special here, guys. You just go through and literally post them in the column where it tells you to. We're transporting from one document to another document, adding them up at the bottom to make sure they match. And they do, so that is it for 6.1 Work Together. Good luck and go on and try on 6.1 on your own.